My name is Steve Layton, and I travel the world finding amazing and delicious coffee for you to drink at home. Some make coffee difficult to understand and complicated, but here it's my job to make it easy and fun and tell you what's in my mug. Hello and welcome to this week's In My Mug, episode 444? 444? 444. Great to have you join us as always. This week's coffee I'm very excited about, but I've actually got notes because I'm a little bit rubbish, so you're going to have to excuse that I am going to be looking at my notes a little bit, but I want to get all the information across from this because it's a super interesting coffee. Just before I do go on, I spoke last week about the Brewers Cup. I didn't win. I didn't even make finals. I did do a blog post about it. If you go to hasblog.co.uk, you can read what a sore and bitter and bad loser I am. But yes, please do go read that. And my performance is on there as well. So if you'd like to see me performing, making the Chemexes, as I rarely make coffee on here, you can go see me. So this week's coffee comes from Rwanda, and it comes from a cooperative called Booth. I like the Booth. And it's called Nyarasiza. It's our second year of having it. The washing station is 1,750 metres above sea level, and it's in the south of Rwanda. Booth was created in 2003 by a lady called Epiphany Musaka, who is an amazing lady. I've met her twice now, last time on the visit to Rwanda last year. She is a real entrepreneur. I don't like the word entrepreneur, but she is a real entrepreneur, and she wouldn't call herself that. She's just a business lady, but she's just created such a market. She was born in 1959, and unfortunately she was widowed during the 1994 genocide, which I can't talk about Rwanda without talking about the genocide, where nigh on 1 million people were killed in a 10-week period. She chose to kind of carry on with coffee in the family when she'd really been bringing up the family, and this happened to a lot of women. There are some amazing female coffee producers in Rwanda who were widowed, or just families were killed and just carried on running the farm. An interesting statistic, women really do run Rwanda, but they are the highest proportion of women in parliament than any other parliament or congress or whatever you want to call them in the world. I think 64% are women, which is absolutely awesome. She was part of the Spread Project, which was something that happened in Rwanda to basically USAID felt very guilty for not doing what they should have when genocide was happening, and really went in and invested heavily in the country to try and help rebuild. The Spread and Pearl project was something that was done to improve the quality of Rwandan coffee. So previous to that, Rwandan coffee was pretty much commodity grade, awful stuff. But they went in and built washing stations, brought in people to help train and learn how to make great coffee. Booth owns quite a few washing stations. This is just one of them. The other one is Remera. Basically, Epiphany has set up, I'm going to read the actual figures here. She's set up 116 jobs at Nizari during peak season and 9 permanent positions, and 127 people employed at Remera with 10 permanent positions. That's from 2014. I'm sure there'll be more now. But it's amazing. She shares the surplus profits with the cooperative and the washing station managers. And the way it works is, in Rwanda, you tend to own a very small amount of trees. So it'd be 200-300 trees. You'll deliver your coffee to a washing station, and then the washing station takes over and does the processing, finds the buyers, and exports the coffee. Before we go any further, why don't we go and look at the map bit so we can see. Hello and welcome to this week's Map Bit. Here we are. We're going down to the wonderful continent of Africa. And in particular, we're going to focus down on the country of Rwanda. Very, very tiny country. Somewhere I was lucky enough to visit last year. Very beautiful country as well. Rwanda's parliament has more female members than any other parliament in the world, and that's why Rwanda is one of the leading countries in Africa, and one of the fairest. We're going down to the south a little here, and we're going to Kigoma. You see Kigoma there, the town of Kigoma. Very good view of the town. Here's the coffee drying on the beds. The land of 1,000 hills, I think it's called, Rwanda. It's many hills and mountains around it. Here they are in the washing channels. They're washing the coffee, pushing it through manually. It's a very manual process, the washed coffee in Rwanda. Here we've got more pictures of the washed coffee drying in the sun. We can see it all there. Here we've got new drying beds being built, so you can see brand new beds. And I was lucky enough to visit Nyarasiza when I was there last summer. Here's somebody hand sorting to try and find defected beans while they're on the drying patios. So let's get a feel for the topography. Let's just whiz around, get a feeling of the mountains. And highest point, Volcan Charisma B, which is 4,500 metres. Lowest point, with it being landlocked, is the Rusizi River at 950 metres above sea level. So there is no low altitude in Rwanda. And that was this week's map bit. So now we have a better idea of where we're talking about. I was just reading through my notes, and the interesting part that we have got that this coffee was processed on April the 4th and is a grade A1. That's when it was delivered, and complete traceability on the lot. So that's super interesting that we've got that much detail on it. Rwanda is just an inspiration to us all. I think they've got the highest education rate for Africa, so 92% attendance for school in Rwanda, and there's just a whole heap of things that are going on. Kagame, who is the president, who I've met, I meet presidents, but he is a real inspiration, taking over after the genocide and really dragging the country on, and it's just very impressive place and lovely people. Why don't we go and find the fact file and find something out about them, and then when I come back I'm going to be tasting coffee. Time for the fact file. And the warning, figures may change because we got them wrong. But we're focusing on Rwanda. Tiny little dot in a very huge continent. 350,000 hectares of that tiny little land are devoted to coffee, so it's a big part of what they do in Rwanda, but they're only the 30th biggest producer in the world. Total production, it's around about 250 to 450 bags, which is about 257 to 420 metric tons. Common varietals, a lot of Bourbon, a lot of Katayi, a lot of Katura. Not a lot of other diversity really. There are around about 400,000 coffee smallholders in Rwanda, so although it's a small market, it affects a lot of people. We've worked with 12 farms in Rwanda in the last couple of years, and somewhere that we're looking to do more. This one is Nyarasiza. It's a red Bourbon, it's a fully washed, it's near the town of Kigoma, between Butey and Sigagu, altitude of 700 to 1900 metres above sea level. And Buff is run by Epiphany Mukaskia. And that was the fact file. Okay, so I hope that was interesting. I'm going to go into the espresso first. So the notes that I get in the espresso, I get in the cupping bowl too, and it reminds me very much of a really heavy Cab Sav red wine from Chile. It's got that real body to it, but it's got that real red wine acidity. And in the aftertaste, there's a real lime juice, fresh lime juice. That's fantastic. Into the cap. Now the cap tones down lots of that acidity, and what I'm getting here is like almost like a cola sweetness. So like a full fat, not diet, full fat cola sweetness. Now the acidity's there, but it's that lime acidity. There isn't any of the red wine in there. Okay, before we go into the filter, we should get Roland up on the screen and say, Roland, give us a daft fact. "1 million Rwandans overcame poverty between 2006 and 2011. Innovative homegrown development solutions have reduced poverty. For instance, in Grinka, which provides every poor family in Rwanda with a cow, has reduced malnutrition, increased agricultural productivity, and created small business opportunities." And that's actually really interesting, Roland, because Grinka is something that Buff do. So what they do, they try and give a cow to every one of the families that are delivering cherries. By giving them a cow, they not only give them milk, and at some point later they give them meat, it also means that they get fertilizer for the coffee. So yeah, Grinka is a thing. I wanted another sip of that cat because it's really good. Okay, into the brewed coffee, where I think this is at its best. This is the home for this coffee, hopefully. Ed has brewed this on the Kalita for me because I've given up on the Chemex. Not really, just this week. Wow, that red wine is very prominent. It's almost tea-like, and you tend to find that in Ethiopians, not in Rwandans, but it has a real black tea-likeness to it. And that cola is also there, so that sweetness coming from full-fat cola. A fantastic brewed coffee, as good as I hoped it would be. Listen, thank you very much for joining me as always, and do remember, life is definitely too short for bad coffee.